keep trying to film this, and there's like a choir nearby singing, and you can hear them. Is this the time? Don't they know I'm filming? Does the choir have to sing now? Hey guys, it's Cece, and today I'm here to do a review for you. The book that I'm going to be reviewing today is Shadowshaper by Daniel José Older. So this book was sent to me by Scholastic in exchange for an honest review, but I accepted it because I have been really excited about this book and I really enjoyed it. So let me tell you a little bit more about Shadowshaper. So Shadowshaper is a YA urban fantasy. It is set in Brooklyn and it surrounds a lead character, and her name is Sierra Santiago. And Sierra is an artist. She kind of just expected a fun-loving summer with her friends, but then some weird stuff starts to go down, namely murals start to vanish and one actually cries a real tear that she sees. And then at the first party of the summer, like a corpse crashes the party and she's like, something's up, stuff's happening. And so she goes and she talks to this other artist guy named Robbie. People think that he knows what's going on, and Sierra finds out about Shadowshapers. Shadowshaping is a type of magic that infuses ancestral spirits into art, music, stories, and she finds out about them and that Robbie is one. She also kind of starts to realize that Shadowshapers are being killed off one by one, and that her family has some sort of connection with Shadowshapers, and so she has to kind of get into the mystery with Robbie, and that's kind of where the story takes off. So this story jumps in like high speed. Immediately you know that there's something going on. And to be fair, this is because this is an incredibly short book. This is just a teeny tiny little book, and it just throws you right into the action. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about pacing in a second, but first I wanted to talk about like how much this book gets into in this short a period of time. I think it's about 300 pages total. Yeah, this is almost exactly 300 pages. I actually had to make a list of all of the really cool stuff that this book addresses. So, in passing, just mentioning issues, this book covers gentrification, body image in terms of weight, in terms of comfort with skin color, with her natural hair. It talks about sexism, it has a normalized inclusion of catcalling. There is discussion of appropriation of cultural histories and stories. There is a focus on knowing your roots. And there is normalized inclusion of lesbians of color in a relationship. Just like there, without discussion, which is amazing. Like, I had to make a list so that I could make sure to remember everything. That's mainly what all these little tabby thingies are when this book would just have a random discussion that wasn't like preaching or talking about how bad or good anything was. It was just like normal conversations that would happen to come up between these characters. And the catcalling wasn't really in there for any other purpose than just to recognize that it happens and that it's stupid and annoying, and Sierra's just kind of like, oh, I know, right? That's a thing that happens to women, especially in the area that she was in. And I just really appreciated that, because I honestly don't think that I've seen catcalling mentioned in YA before. I'm sure it's out there, but I hadn't personally seen it, so like super respect. So much respect for talking about body image the way that this book did, and the fact that appropriation of stories was really kind of the ultimate villain in this book. Like, appropriation of cultural histories was the enemy, sort of, that Sierra and Shadowshapers were facing. And I thought that was such a cool way to talk about shadowshaping, because it's so based in ancestral spirits and focusing on ancestry. I just thought that that was such a cool way to do things. So, in case you hadn't guessed, basically the entirety of this cast, it's all Latinx characters. And if they aren't Latinx, it's still a character of color. I think except for the villain, to be honest with you. I believe the villain is the only white character, so his villainous aspect is, like I mentioned, that he's trying to appropriate the cultural history of Sierra's family. I don't know. I can't get over the fact that that was the villainous aspect. I appreciate it so much. So these side characters in this book, I actually really liked them. I don't know how much time that they each got to develop, because this is such a short book, so you don't really get to get into deep get to know you sessions with the characters, but first basis, them just kind of showing up, I really liked them. They had a fun relationship with Sierra, they had fun relationships with each other. I appreciate that there was a focus on the fact that her friends had relationships outside of a relationship to her, because it made her feel less like she's the person that matters and everyone else is a side character, and more that the story happens to be about her, but everyone else still has their own thing going on. And that doesn't happen sometimes with like side character friends, so I really appreciated that. I did wish that there was a bit more development of some of the characters. I don't really feel like I got to know a lot of them, but I'm hoping that that's something that could be remedied in future books, since this is the first book in a series. So in future books, I would really like to get to know them more. But I really liked her best friend, I really liked her brother, I really liked her other friends. It was just a cool collection of characters. So I could have used a bit more depth. Besides that, I also did have a slight problem with the pacing, the fact that it just kind of throws you in there. I wish that we could have had a little bit more time at the beginning to get to know Sierra and her friends in this world in general. I felt like there was no establishing the world or the characters. It was just like immediately, there's a problem, jump in and fix it, and then it just keeps trucking on from there. So I feel like this book could have given a little bit more time to development. It could have been a little longer in order to really feel like I knew everybody, and so I felt more connected to the story in general. So I did have that problem with pacing as well. And then the last thing that is included with pacing is that I think a few more pages could have been devoted to developing the relationship between Sierra and Robbie. It feels like really obvious as soon as they mention Robbie, you're like, okay, that's the love interest. And it didn't feel insta-lovey, but it still could have been developed more. I just would have appreciated that. But again, I think that there is room for that in future books, and so I look forward to seeing how that is done. The thing that I want to mention that is one of my favorite things that this book did, because I feel like I never see this, is that Sierra is told she has a power, she has an ability, and instead of spending the whole book being like, I don't want this power, what do I do, the pressure's too much, Sierra's like, oh my god, this is amazing, I have this power, I have this history, and she just embraces it, and I feel like I never see that. Having read so many books even this year where the main character's like, I have power, and they just have like this breakdown over what that means, I love that Sierra just embraces how excited she is that she has an ability and that she can use that for something. I thought it was fantastic, because that is something that I have been looking for more in the YA that I read. So overall, I wound up giving this book like a 3.75 stars, somewhere in there. I really liked it, and I think it has so much potential to grow as a series. I definitely want to continue on with further books, because I feel like even if the plot wasn't my favorite thing about this book, I loved how much it talked about, and I really liked Sierra, and I think that there is so much potential there to grow. So 3.75 stars overall. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that Scholastic sent me this book to read, because I have been curious about it since I saw this cover like a couple of years ago. I have been interested in finding out more about this book because this cover is beautiful. So beyond that, if you've read the title of this video, I am also giving away copies of Shadowshaper. This is sponsored by Scholastic. They asked if I would be willing to give away copies, and I gladly agreed. So I will be giving away 10 copies of Shadowshaper that you can receive, and the link to that giveaway is down below in the description. Unfortunately, it is US only. I know, guys, I wish that international giveaways were much easier, but shipping is a thing. So the link is in the description below. Go ahead and enter the giveaway. I will be choosing 10 winners at random. All of the rules should be on there. You know, you're gonna need to give me and eventually Scholastic your address, so make sure you're 18 or older or 13 or older, have your parents' permission and all that. Go enter the giveaway. The giveaway ends on October 31st, like 11:59, so like right before we get into November, that is when the giveaway ends. So you have a few days, you have over a week to enter this, so go do it, because I'm really excited to give away some copies of Shadowshaper. Anyway, that is it. I hope that you enjoyed watching my review. Make sure you go and enter the giveaway. If you have read Shadowshaper, please let me know your thoughts about it. Did you like it? Did you see the potential? Who were your favorite characters? And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!